Kipchumba Murkomen is the Cabinet Secretary, Interior and National Administration. Thank you for making time. Dr. Raymond Omollo is here as the Principal Secretary, Internal Security and National Administration. Thank you very much for making time. Douglas Kanja, the Inspector General, National Police Service, is here with us. Thank you very much for making time. And Henry Chieng, the CEO, Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations, KARA. Thank you very much for making time. On the front row, we have the DCI boss, Mohamed Amin, and all the DIGs joining us as well. If you have any questions, we'll post directly to them as well. At Trevor Mbili at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Citizen Monday Report. Waziri, I'll start with you on this. The country has been asking this question. Who killed Bobu?
First of all, let me say thank you very much for joining us. It is courteous to appreciate this very noble initiative that is unique.
We apologize for that slight technical hitch. We'll fix your microphone in just a bit. But let me bring in the IG on this. IG, same question. Who killed Bobu?
Thank you very much, Trevor. Let me start by, first of all, sending my condolences to the family, friends of the late bomb, the Wakiri. Let me say this. Investigations are on progress, currently on progress. The DCI, I have directed the DCI that we need to move with speed. And that is exactly what he's doing. So, currently, we are following some very useful leads. And I know sooner than later we are going to get those who committed that heinous crime. Thank you, Trevor.
IG, you say sooner or later. The longer this takes, the more there are fears that will join the list of unresolved similar killings, such as Jacob Juma, George Mushai, and Chris Musando. Will this just be another one of those we are investigating situations?
Trevor, you know, first of all those investigations remains active. They are simply active. We have not closed those files until we get those who committed those heinous crimes against all those you have mentioned. So meaning that we will not rest until we get to the bottom of that. So even the case of the current case of Wakiri, investigation are on progress, as I've said. The same case applies to the rest. And in fact, at this stage, I also want to appeal to the Kenyan people, especially those who would be having any kind of information that can be able to assist the National Police Service, and in particular the DCI, in unraveling that one. We welcome them very much.
Have you arrested anyone, IG?
So far, we had arrested 3. But they were again cleared by the investigating teams. But as I've said earlier, we are on hot trail of some very, very useful leads, and we believe that we are going to get the culprits who actually committed that crime. And the DCI actually can see and they can be able to add on that, the kind of investigation that we have.
Absolutely, the DCI is here. Let me pass the microphone to him to give us an update of where we are. Let's have the microphone come to the DCI boss. Mohamed Amin is here. The IG says that he told you to hasten that investigation. How far are we this year?
Thank you very much, Trevor. And let me join the Inspector General for condoling with the family of the deceased, and as well the members of the Law Society of Kenya. Indeed, the death of the deceased advocate is a matter we are taking very, very seriously. Not only his death, but death involving any citizen of this country. We take it very, very seriously. As to the death of Lawyer Mbogo, we have assembled a robust team from our homicide section. Actually, Trevor, as I was coming to this studio, I've left my team of detectives sifting through the evidence, and they're working over that even as we talk. Like the IG has confirmed, we arrested 3 persons of interest to us, but after subsequent investigations, we released them, but they still remain persons of interest to us. So we have some very, very good leads that certainly I will not disclose due to the sensitivity of the matter and the investigation. and the fact that it might prejudice our investigations. But apprehending the killers is a matter of top priority for us, and I would like to assure Kenyans that sooner or later we are going to arrest all the persons behind the arrest of the deceased advocate.
We understand that this is a security operation, but how many are you following? How many suspects are you looking at? And the camera is on the other side.
Well, at this point in time, I may not be able to say we are following this number of suspects. They could be 1, they could be 2, they could be 10. So it is after we conclude the investigation that we'll be able to make a determination who are the persons culpable. Thank you.
Okay. Waziri, do you have any idea of who killed Bob?
First of all, I hope I'm now audible.
Now you're clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. First, let me say, my Dr. Charlo Mbobo was my teacher, and he taught me to law of evidence in 2 semesters, and thereafter we worked together as social teachers at the University of Nairobi. So for me, it is personal, and I wish to send my personal condolences to his wife and the children, and I believe that the best answer has been given by DCI, who is in charge of investigations. I have no doubt in my mind that we have the men and women who have the capability and capacity to unravel this very heinous act. I think since it's not even a week since it happened, let's exercise patience and give them the time to do this. And I think that your initial concern that there are other unresolved deaths should not really be a barrier insofar as having faith in the work that the DCI has done, because in a few months ago he was able to do a good job. The entire team of National Police Service did a very good job in the case of the Member of Parliament who also faced that kind of situation. I think that it maybe from a policy perspective, because the Cabinet Secretary's responsibility is in a policy level, there are certain things that we have to think about strongly, and which we have exercised our mind to a great extent. The first is that we need to continue investing in the technology. And National Security Council gave directions last week that we need to continue our program of expanding technology, expanding cameras to more roads in the city and other cities across the country. That would have really helped a great deal if Magadi Road, for example, was covered with the CCTV cameras. Number 2 is that we must face the problem of regulation of our border sector. In all civilized countries, you have clarity of which mode of transport is used to where. And the manner in which our border sector is being managed is not proper. It's not responsive to security in 2 ways. One is that border is a transport of last mile. So there must be defined areas where you cannot have motorbikes plying through highways all over the place. Number 2, we need to have self-regulation by the borders, having their circles properly, well-dressed, documented. They know the people operating the border, so that you separate between the person who has a personal motorbike for personal use and the one who is carrying pillion passengers for commercial purposes. I think that because of the misuse of borders in the recent past, and not Nairobi alone, these problems are in most of our cities across the country. This issue of murders by persons using motorbikes and running away should lead us to collectively, with Parliament, with Ministry of Transport, with this ministry and other stakeholders, and particularly being led by the border themselves, because these few elements are spoiling a multi-billion transport economy sector of border, which otherwise, is now having a bad name as a result of some people hiding behind it to commit crimes.
Okay, we'll come to talk about that in just a bit, but let me bring in Henry Uching. Now that we're talking about security being a collective responsibility, did the Wananchi fail the security sector, especially during the killing of Lawyer Mbogo? Because how is it that none of them had pictures? Nobody showed up as a witness. Did the Wananchi fail the security sector?
Thank you very much, Trevor. I think it is not right to transfer the blame to Wananchi, because as a matter of fact, security, first of all, is a primary responsibility of the government. And like Waziri has said, there are certain lapses that were clearly missing that led to what the current challenge we are facing. For instance, I think there's been report that the CCTV for that particular area was not working, and that's a failure of technology. And this is not the only incident that has come in the recent past of high profile. I think there's the one for the MP the other day, which happened, and many others that have happened. And like you said, we are yet to get conclusive resolution of this kind of initiatives. So I agree that there's the aspect of collective responsibility in terms of addressing security challenges. But I think in incidents like what we have right now, the police has the primary responsibility and the primary mandate to make sure that we get to know what the truth is. As communities, we are always looking at ways and means of making sure that we partner with the government to address security concerns, because security is a very key imperative even in our decision on where we live. And if you look at the aspect of resident associations, majority of resident associations were actually formed because they wanted to make sure that they're in charge of their neighborhood as far as security is concerned. And most of them are already trying to find means and ways of working with the government, working with the police to ensure that they are safeguarding their neighborhood. Okay. A number of them have taken even steps that is costing them financially, just because they feel that they don't want to sit back and wait for the police to come and take action. We do appreciate that, for instance, the ratio of police to the citizen is about one police officer to 518 or 518 citizens. Yeah. That is way below what is recommended of 1 to 450. So certainly there's need to collaborate, there's need to partner, and there's need to ensure that we are joining hands towards addressing security concern. Okay. But we do need to make sure that we put the government, give it the responsibility as provided for the Constitution, okay, of making sure that we are all safe and secure in our neighborhoods, in our offices, in our roads, and everywhere else. Okay.
Before I bring in PS on this, IG, are you going to commit to timelines of this investigation so that the Kenyans who are listening to you would hold you accountable? In how long do we expect some results?
Thank you very much, Trevor. Let me say this. Investigation is a process whereby, as the DCI has said, he has set up a very, very strong team with the necessary capabilities to ensure that that particular matter is unraveled. At this stage, I cannot give a timeline, but as I have said, he is under instructions to move with speed and settle that issue and bring to book those who have committed that heinous crime. So the issue of timelines at this stage, we cannot really provide. But yes, he has said, once we get we lay our hands to the criminals, then from then on we can be able to say that yes, this is the timelines that I can be able to take. Thank you, Trevor.
Okay. P.S. Let's handle some administrative issues with you. Are the police well equipped to deal with these investigations? Do they have enough resources? Because you're the accounting officer.
So first of all, Trevor, one is that one of the first things that His Excellency the President did when he came into office was to give the police, the National Police Service, the financial autonomy. So that then, in terms of operations, it's the responsibility of the Inspector General of Police. But still, as a State Department and also as a ministry, we still have a role to play in terms of matters to do with policy. But maybe straight to your question in terms of how well the police are equipped. The truth is that there's been a serious gap over the years in terms of our investment into the police service. But we've also deliberately, over the last 3 years, made significant investment to support the police. We have the police modernization program, which has helped us to manage the challenges around security in the country. But yes, we still need to do more. Like the CS says, even in terms of our use of technology to be able to help us manage crime. A big part of, for example, Nairobi is in the dark. So you realize we've had 2 recent murder cases, or what you'd call cases where we lost the MP and now the advocate the other day. In the case of the MP, it was much easier to track and easily identify those who are responsible.
because it happened within the CBD before you get to Kenyatta Hospital, around about there. Now, this other one has happened way outside the CBD on Magadi Road. And because of lack of camera, actually I think there's only one camera and very far from where the actual event happened. And that's why you'd sympathize with the police, because there's an expectation of them to apprehend in real time, but then there's a gap in terms of the tools that would allow them to do that. And that is why progressively we are increasing our footprint in terms of investment in infrastructure, investment in technology. And it's good that there's been already a direction that has been given towards that effect in terms of CCTV coverage. The CS the other day gave also a written directive in terms of the investment in CCTV coverage across our police stations all over the country, so that then we are better placed. We facilitate the police to better do their work. Yeah, but maybe also the other thing is looking at what the CEO Kara is saying. Yes, it's a primary responsibility of the police on matter security, but as a society, we also do have a responsibility, because the person who is on the border is coming from somewhere. And the fact that no one is even willing to come out to say that there is this character that is suspicious speaks to the challenge and the opportunity that also exists in terms of being much more proactive. And that is why, for me, an alliance association like Kara becomes very helpful in terms of supporting the police in their work as part of our community policing. And I think there is need for us to have much more awareness across the country.
But we'll speak about that in just a short while. But there's been a tug of war. You've just talked about financial autonomy. There's been a tug of war between the National Police and the National Police Commission. PS, who should be in charge of this payroll?
First of all, there isn't any tug of war between the commission and the service. But also, just to educate all of us, is that who is the commission? The commission includes the senior leadership of the service. So it's actually the same people, the commissioners. The IG is a commissioner. The deputy IGs are commissioners. So there isn't any tug of war. What may probably be out there is a situation where we have a new commission that has come in. Then of course there is also the pressure to do certain activities. And in the process of those consultations, there is a likelihood of a misunderstanding in terms of who is holding on to what particular responsibility. But there isn't any tug of war between what you'd call the Police Service Commission and the service. And even when there could be any understanding, there are inbuilt mechanisms that allows the commissioners to sit through their meetings, to deliberate on issues, so that then they are fully able to support the officers who serve in the police force, police service.
Waziri, let me bring in on this, and there's a different conversation before I open the floor for questions. Does the ministry admit total and absolute failure in the Shakahola and Kwabenzaro massacre? Were you caught flat-footed?
Let me just say, to add to what the PS has said first, before I come to Shakahola, you need to appreciate that we had a situation. I was then in the Senate in the first term of President Uhuru's administration, where everybody, the left hand did not know the right hand. There was a lot of infighting between different security managers, the KDF, the intelligence, the police, and so forth. And that time we were facing serious problems with Al-Shabaab and so forth. The concept of multi-agency approach to security management was started. And over time, we have been able to perfect, and this administration has truly perfected the multi-agency approach, so that this question of saying the commission should do this, the NPS itself should do this, the KDF should do this, the NIS should do this, is now a thing of the past. We all work, including the requirement from His Excellency the President when he appointed all of us, that he would want to see all of us work as a team. And so this teamwork, if you want to deliver more, the public need to see the confidence of the teamwork. And I think maybe that's just to just bolster what the PS said, what you saw between the NPS team, because it's only one team. In fact, it's heavy police because the IG, the deputy IG are sitting there, and 2 former police officers are also sitting there. The only thing you might have seen in this time is a question of orientation. Once the chairman and the new team that have come in place have gone through the orientation process, I don't think that they will even attempt to have such an infighting among themselves, because it goes against a principle that is now well established in our country, that to have success, the kind of success that you have, the level of stability that we have in security in the country that has never been witnessed in many years. This country now has most stable security situation. And then I ask you a question about Shakahola. Shakahola is better answered using the same approach that the PS and the Kara gentleman, Mr. Ocheng, had, sorry for missing your name, Mr. Ocheng had already referred to. We need to first understand that as long as we abdicate our responsibility as citizens and say, I will leave my door open, yeah? One of the biggest problems we have in some parts of the country with banditry is situations where people leave their cows and goats in the field, there is nobody herding, and then they say the government, where was the government when some thieves came to steal? And I'm not saying in all instances, but in some instances. We cannot, for example, leave your house or door open and say the government is there to provide primary responsibility security. They'll come and lock my door and ensure that there are no burglars and there are no thieves in the environment. So you cannot really say that security is only the responsibility of the police officers. And in the Shakahola situation, it's a very unfortunate situation, because these are people hiding, first of all, in religion. And this is a highly religious society. People have gone to a place to pray, to fast, and we have many places where Kenyans go to pray. People are subscribed to a particular religion, they go to a certain church. We have seen situations, in fact, we even wonder what to do in situations where you see people go to certain church and the faithfuls are being slapped, so that the Holy Spirit, the spirits of the devil can come out and the Holy Spirit can enter in. You've seen situations where people are doing obscenities. We wonder even when do the police come in. So in the Shakahola situation, religious radicalization went so far to the extent that people were being starved and to death. Now, from 2019, to 2022, when this administration came to office, it took the shortest time possible for this administration, working together with the security team, to unearth the problem of Shakahola. And then that was sorted. It has not even been sorted. The bodies that were found, some DNA was done, some were identified, others are still pending DNA tests. Suspects were arrested. The main suspect is in prison. And then, a few months ago, you discover the guy is still in prison because he's in remand. He's not been sentenced. He has access to phone. He is calling his faithfuls. Those people are looking for the people, the same people who were rescued last time. One gentleman was followed up to Siaya, came from Siaya with all his children. Another one from Viga came with his family, all the way to the same Chakama Ranch in Kwabinzaro. Again, even if you want to blame the police, they have come, they are in a compound, they live in an estate, sort of a place. By the time you discover that inside there, people are being starved to death, it is far too late. And remember, in that situation also, it is because of the experience that we got in Shakahola that at least there was some information that was established to bring this connection. So I must say this, without really shifting blame, that to deal with religious radicalization will need a whole society approach. There must be, how can people leave your home? What happened to past African tradition where people ask their relatives where they are? How can someone leave all the way for about 1,000 kilometers and nobody asks any question where they are with their children? We need to look after each other, and we need to be good neighbors so that we can share this information. Number two, the report that was done by the Musimi task force that was established after that recommended that one of the things that needs to be done is for religious institutions to do self-regulation, because people are fearing also heavy government presence in religious regulation, and so religions are expected to do this. And also the bill that is being drafted and under the leadership of the PCS office is also being worked out to see how best religions can be able to regulate themselves.
Okay.
So it will be Shakaola today, but there's another religion in which corner of the country, there's another religion in another corner of the country, but we'll continue perfecting our efforts to deal with these issues, and we need everybody's support.
Okay, let me bring in Henry Ching with this as Karen. I need to take a quick break, but just a quick response from you. Is that another failure of the Kenya Alliance Residents Association? Because CS is saying, how can somebody live 1,000 kilometers away? Nobody's reporting a missing person. Nobody says that they were practicing religious radicalization, so to speak.
Trevor, yes, admittedly there's a lot of information within neighborhoods and with communities where they live, but maybe we should ask ourselves the question, why are we not passing that information for action? So the truth is that there's trust deficit between the police and the communities, and it's probably because the community feel that maybe if they pass information, it will not be acted upon. Or we've had cases where you pass information and then the following day, the same person you reported comes to tell you that he's aware that you passed the information. So there's that element of trust that is lacking between the community and the police, which we really need to work on. I can confirm to you that there's very huge goodwill from the community in terms of supporting the police and working with the police. But we need to address how are we going to ensure that as we engage and as we work with the police, we are actually confident that the information we pass will be acted upon, and also the information we pass will not be used against us at some point.
Okay.
So that's an element that has to be addressed very conclusively.
The concern is the trust deficit. Okay,
Yes.
I'll take a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, we're continuing this conversation. The entire interior leadership is here with CS Murkomen, PS Raymond, Omollo, Douglas Kanja, the Inspector General, DCI Boss Mohammed Abin. All your questions will be answered this evening right after this break. By show of hands, how many of you have questions? Let me just see that and see here. All right. That means all of you asking the questions in just a bit. The next session is dedicated to all of you to ask all the questions you may have to the entire leadership of the Interior Ministry for the first time ever national. the gains and the losses, what more needs to be fixed, and the entire Interior Ministry is here with us this evening. Let's start off straight with the questions. Who has the microphone? Kindly stand up, give your name, and straight question to the panelists.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Kanja. I'm a law student. My first question is, because the PS has mentioned that people are not turning up, why not offer money? We are Kenyans, and money is a motivation that could maybe one way or another do that. Number two.
No, one question, Abdi. Just one question. Thank you so much. We agreed on this. PS, why not offer money? You can delegate the question if.
I think maybe the question, I could probably take it back and just ask, because this is about security, this is about the well-being of each and every one of us. If it becomes the responsibility of the state, in this particular instance, to be offering money, and you look at the amount of, or the number of criminalities across the country, first of all, there's a budget process for it. Are Kenyans willing to pay, to be paid, to be able to give information to the police? And I don't think we want to go that way. I think there is that moral conversation that we need to have as a country. And I like the response or the input from Kara CEO, that yes, there appears to be a trust deficit. And for me, it's a conversation that we must have. What are some of the issues that the citizens feel that maybe the police are not facilitative or supportive of? But throughout our Jukwaa la Usalama moving across the country, everybody is asking for police officers. Everybody is asking us to provide resources to give police officers vehicles. Everybody is saying the police officers need to be better remunerated. If there was a serious problem with policing, Kenyans will not be asking us for that. But probably, I think as a country, we just need to have this much broader conversation. As a government, we have a responsibility to do what we must do. As citizens as well, there is also that ownership so that we also become our brother's keeper. Yes.
Thank you very much. What's the next microphone? Yes, sir. If you have the microphone, what's the microphone next to you?
Dr. Kanga from NCCK. Question is, how is the ministry integrating youth-led or community-led intelligence and community engagement into national security strategy, especially in urban and rural areas, sports? Specifically, when we are operating after 3 years, we are saying we are bottom up. Okay. Apart from waiting from top up, and then you say to turn stones, then you turn kokoto. How are you going to, how have you integrated us and these youths to become part and parcel to help you in your security? Measurable things.
Thank you so much. Waziri?
I think that's a very good question to Mishi. I think that Jukwaa la Usalama, to start with, is an initiative that is supporting the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. That's why we're engaging citizens at the grassroots level. We've done already 39 counties and about 8 counties to go. And throughout these Jukwaa la Usalama sessions, we've had very robust feedback from the citizens, and we've even resolved certain problems in place. During also this Jukwaa la Usalama, we agreed on certain policy directives that are helping bottom-up engagement, especially for young people. One, we've said that at the sub-county level, the sub-county security committee must incorporate the leadership of border, because we've realized border is a very important sector security-wise across the country. So they must incorporate leadership of border to their security meeting. They have very useful intelligence. They operate day and night, and they enter places that rarely many people go. We've also said student leaders must be invited to sub-county security committee meetings. Why? Because these are new, most of them are new to the locality. And you have a population of 10,000, like Sigalagala, it was about 15,000. If you go to Gitale Technical, it was about 12,000. If you go to many other places, new universities that have been established and colleges create new populations in rural areas. And therefore, it's important to incorporate them in the security architecture at the sub-county level. So I said, we agreed that they should sit in the sub-county security committee, and that the dean of students and the leadership of the university should also be part of and part of the sub-county security team.
Okay.
And let me tell you this, because I have now sat with OCSs from OCSs and chiefs and assistant chiefs and community leaders for 39 counties. To be honest, there is great good relationship in many areas between police officers and police station, the community. In fact, it's the community leaders that keep insisting, in this police station, we want you to get rid of the drunkards here, we need vehicles here, we need better structure here. We have been working with our OCS. It's only in very few instances and very few police stations that we realize, and it comes out in the security problems in that place. The moment you realize there's a security problem in a particular area, there is a poor relationship between the OCS and the security leadership at the local level and the community. But in many places, it is the residents who go out of the way. And even in some places, they are the ones who take maziwa to the OCS. They sometimes even changa fuel when the 450 allocation we give per month is over, because they support and they believe in their security place. So I don't think that it is true that Kenyans don't like police or they don't have good working relations with the police officers. To the contrary, it is actually largely supported by the communities, and where they have worked together, it's fantastic.
Yeah, IG Waziri says that there's a good relationship with the police. However, an IJM report indicated that 4 out of 10 people have had a bad experience with the police officers. 70% of them have reported that there's issues in the police service, one of them being corruption. How do you restore trust when the people themselves have complaints against your men in uniform and women?
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. Let me start by saying, first of all, security, despite the fact that the government provides the primary security, but I must also hasten to say that security is a shared responsibility. A shared responsibility between the people and the security providers. As has been explained there earlier by the CS, this is also provided through the multi-agency spectrum. So what is happening is that the security sector engages the community through community partnership, so that you can also be able to benefit directly from the community, and the community can also benefit straight from the policing services. And that is why even Waziri has said it, that in most of the areas that we have visited in Jukwaa la Usalama forums, it is actually the community who actually supports and engages the police officers. There are few instances where there are some challenges, and those are some of the administrative challenges that we are dealing with. But we have, and in fact myself as the Inspector General, I have received calls from throughout the Republic, people requesting that their home station be provided with the transport, because that is an area they see is it is impacting negatively in the provision security services. So a clear indication that the local people, the community themselves, are willing and partnering actually to work with the police. That is why they go ahead and speak on behalf of their local police. So this issue of deficit in terms of trust between the community and the police, yes, it is there, and this is something that we are continuously working on. Trevor, I want to say this. In our strategic plan, for example, automation is the main thing, whereby we want to move in that direction so that we can be able to engage the public more by digitizing our services, so that we ensure that more people can be able to access our services in a manner that is easy, efficient, and effective, and also where we also reduce unnecessary interactions, so that we can be able to enhance in that particular direction.
There's a lady here with a question. Let's give it to one of the ladies who have the microphone. Let me see. Yes, there. Yes, go ahead.
My name is Victoria Danu. My question is on the technology, the CCTV footage. How will the government fund it, and how are we going to ensure the digital records are not tampered with and they are well maintained? Thank you.
PS or Waziri, you can pass it across the both of you.
I think that First, that's a very good question. Kenyans are always very concerned about promises that are not accompanied by a budget. And so, as I said in this show, it's an area that, as you know, His Excellency the President really is pushing for digitalization of services. There was already an IC3, the communication system that had been established in Nairobi that really helped to deal with crime in Nairobi and Mombasa. And the contract ended somewhere in 2019, if I'm not wrong, in 2019. And so a part of the directives that were given under the leadership of the President by the Security Council is to now think through the best ways of financing a more robust security surveillance system that covers the entire country. And that conversation is in very advanced stage. We should be able to give directions to the country in another 2-3 weeks, and then source the resources within the budget and other mechanisms innovatively, like we've done in other areas, in roads, in sports, and other places, so that we can finance our security. One of the things that has impacted negatively in our security is the failure to historically invest, so that when you sit down here, you see some of the things that Kenyans are asking are things that we should have done in 2010, about 15, 20 years ago. Now the pressure is on one administration to do everything in a very short time, and we must continue thinking innovatively on how to finance. And I appreciate, Danu, your question that you are concerned about financing, so that then our promises are accompanied by the resources that we are giving.
All right. Another question. If you have the microphone, go ahead. Yes.
My name is Bill. My question is directed to Mr. Kanja. So, as enforcers of the law, you are expected to comply with court orders, and this is in relation to the High Court order that barred use of masks and plainclothes police. So can you promise us today that we will never see that happening?
All right, IG.
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. And that's to me, that's a very, very good question and a positive one. Let me start by saying this, that number one, when I took over as the Inspector General, I made a promise that we are going to operate within the frameworks of the law. And it is true that we have a huge service, a service that consists of over 100 police officers distributed throughout the Republic of Kenya, providing security. So what I'm trying to say is that we follow the law, we follow the directives that we issue from time to time. We might find a case or two. These cases, we deal with them because there are various mechanisms that are provided for by the law, by the regulations, on how you can be able to deal with those who breaks the law, those who don't operate within the frameworks of the law. So I want to assure you that this is a service that obeys the law. Thank you very much, Trevor.
Let's pass the microphone to the DCI boss.
I think it deserves a more explanation on that question.
Yeah.
I think his concern was deployment of police officers who are not in either uniform or they're wearing masks. Let me tell you, that order is subject to interpretation, because we will not allow our police officers to put their lives in danger by wearing uniform when they're not supposed to wear uniform. The police officers, many people think about police officers only because of protests. Police officers are dealing with Al-Shabaab in border counties. They dress the way they should to camouflage, to protect themselves and to protect the citizens of Kenya. Police officers are also not just the police officers you see in uniform on the streets. Police officers include DCI. All the DCI have no uniform, because there's work they should do. They should be able to enter certain places as they do investigation.
But Waziri, the question is specific on protests.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are they supposed to wear masks on protests? And the court had said that they shouldn't.
It is important to appreciate that even in protests, the police officers who are DCI have no uniform to wear. So they are automatically in plain clothes, because there's no uniform for DCI. And yet they are deployed inside Wananchi to protect Wananchi.
But should they also be masked?
Well, if it is necessary for them to be masked to protect themselves, it will be necessary. But in this, no, just face it. If it is important, because I see citizens who are masking themselves in protest to protect their identity.
But the court ordered that they shouldn't.
No, the court, and others are saying, this court order is subject to interpretation.
And what is your interpretation?
My interpretation is that what the courts wanted to protect, because you have to look at what is the end results. They wanted to ensure that any police officer who will commit excesses, shoot somebody, or they hurt someone, beat someone, must be able to be apprehended. And there are other ways of doing that without putting the life of the police in danger. And even in cases where police officers have worn uniform, it has not stopped cases of excesses. So the excesses can be separated from the operational procedure of the police officer. That for sure, because
Waziri,
you need to ask yourself, Trevor.
You're a Ministry of Law and Order, Waziri. The court says do not wear masks. Then why are you interpreting this? Why not just don't wear masks like the court has said?
All legal decisions are subject to the interpretation.
But the interpretation is inadvertently saying that they shouldn't wear, they should wear the masks,
no,
which is directly contrary to what the court has said.
It is the circumstance that matters. For example, that order says police officer deployed on the front of protests and blah 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 should be able to be identifiable, to be seen, and should never conceal themselves, including or should not wear uniform and so forth. Let me ask you now, Trevor. Should now DCI, which uniform should DCI wear?
You tell me. You're the one running the ministry.
Then you are the, because you are the.
And the DCI boss is here, can pass the microphone to him as well.
If it is not subject to interpretation, then we would have said, oh yeah, okay, so DCI then should not be deployed. So the point is that it is subject to interpretation, because when the courts say don't deploy certain police officers and DCI is being deployed and they don't have uniform unless they have uniform, you have to come and now sit down and ask yourself, what do they mean?
So is that a confirmation, Waziri, that the masked men were actually police officers?
I don't know about the masked men. I don't know any mask, because I saw many citizens who were protesting and they were wearing masks. And I don't think they were police officers.
Let's pass the microphone to DCI boss and have his say on this. And where's the microphone behind you there? Just pass the microphone to the DCI boss so that we hear what he has to say. Yes, the microphone is right there. DCI boss, Mohammed is also with us here. Mohammed, were those your people wearing masks?
Wearing uniform first. I think wearing uniform first.
I think the CS has very, very well explained.
Yeah, go ahead.
The role of the DCI in situations of riots. First and foremost, DCI officers are police officers. The only difference between a uniformed police officer and a DCI officer is that the uniformed officer is wearing uniform and a DCI officer is operating in civics. But we all have a duty and responsibility to make sure that life and property is safeguarded. Secondly, Trevor, while I'm still on the mic, one of the participants alluded to the fact that they requested for financial inducements. As DCI officers, as officers of the National Police Service, we have partnered and we have forged a very good working relationship with the members of the public. We have our Fichua Kwa DCI platform, and we receive lots and lots of information from the members of the public. So sharing information with the law enforcement officers, in my view, is a civic responsibility. It is a moral responsibility. I will not even share to say it is a religious responsibility. Why would you see somebody being murdered in front of you and you fail to share that information with the law enforcement officers? So my appeal is for the members of the public, please, wherever you come across any incident, any crime being perpetrated, please feel free, because you are part and parcel of our national policy.
All right.
There were some issues, Trevor, on the aspect of the CCTVs. Yes, the CCTVs they aid us in our investigations. But that is not the only tool that we use in our investigations. We have several investigation techniques and methodologies. So somebody should not feel that because there's no CCTV, then we will not be able to kill a case. We have had instances where we have arrested people, they go enter houses, and the first act they do is to break the CCTV cameras. But we end up arresting them. So CCTV is just an aid in our investigations, and not necessarily that because there's an absence of CCTV, then we are not able to apprehend those culprits.
All right, let's get another question from a lady, please. Let's be gender sensitive, tafadhali. Let's just get a question from one of the ladies, okay. Tafadhali. Let's be gender sensitive, tafadhali. Let's get one of the ladies. I can tell from here that you're not a lady, but we can discuss that. Yes, madam.
Good evening.
Yes.
My name is Mogesi Maroa. I serve in the USPAC Secretariat. Allow me to begin by thanking the Ministry of Interior for the Jukwaa la Wanafunzi, which has really been incredible. Well, my question is on banditry. We all know that it's a threat to national security. When as CS, I think last week you were in Kuria in Migori County, and banditry and cattle rustling, this has been a problem that has been persistent over the years. Now we've had promises from governments year in, year out, and it's not going down because teachers are flying, teachers are going away from classes are empty. So my question is, what is the ministry doing? What are the measures that the ministry is taking so that it can curb this problem of banditry and cattle rustling in Korea? Thank you.
Wazir.
First, admittedly, we have a challenge at the border of Korea and, of Migori and Naro County. But let me start by saying that this administration came to office when all over the country was burning, particularly North Rift and Kerio Valley, because of banditry. And we were losing lives every day. And because of the investment that PS alluded to earlier in terms of modernization of equipment, multi-agency operational groups, including the Operation Malisa Walivu, North Rift, you can see what has happened. And it has demonstrated that with goodwill and partnership with the community, you can stop banditry, especially where lethal weapons were being used. I mean, by the time we were going to elections, Baringo was burning. My own home, Elgeyo Marakwet, was burning. West Pokot was the same with Turkana, and then Samburu. And as we speak now, there's a very interesting phenomenon happening in North Rift, particularly between Marakwets and Pokots, where, as a result of Operation Malisa Walivu, hardcore criminals are returning their guns. 2 days ago, yesterday, about 5 of them, today, about 7. Just people walking, people who had actually terrorized the community are returning their guns directly because of the persistent operation that was done by the police. And I agree with Mr. Cheng from Kara that when the citizens see that police are determined to apprehend criminals, the level of support goes higher. And it is because of the community support also that we received in the Operation Malisa Walivu that you can see now criminals are coming and handing over their guns directly. Schools have been opened, including the school where, unfortunately, our CDF lost his life between the Pokot and Marakwet side. People are back to farms. Irrigation projects are back. Schools, children are back to school. And economic activities, markets have been opened that had been closed for years since before we were elected. So we are, if there is a sector that this administration must be appreciated for, is the significant work that has been done to deal with banditry. And the lessons that are learned so far is to complete areas that we think we still have challenges, especially in Samburu, areas of Sarolipi, Mukokodo Forest, the places of Isiolo and the border to Meru, where most of these criminals use these very rugged areas. And as you saw being reported in the news, the Security Council the other day directed us setting aside of 1 billion shillings to construct access roads to these very closed areas. And then there will be water projects, and the other schools that have remained will be completed, and building of more police stations. I tell you, we are going to register one of the most significant successes in banditry. We have an issue in Narok, particularly because I came from Jukwaa la Usalama in Migori this week, and we have agreed on how to undertake the operation in that area. What is compounding this problem in that area is that it is an area that generally people believe that it doesn't have guns. But intelligence reports indicate that there are a good number of guns in that area. Some are being brought from across the border, and they are being used to terrorize citizens in that area. The Inspector General of Police is putting in place an operation
operational team. In the next 1 or 2 months, you will start getting the kind of success we got from the other area. We are also revamping our engagement with the chiefs, the meetings we had with the chiefs and the administration to talk to the people. And we are requesting the leaders, particularly Honorable Sunguli, Honorable Joanna Ngeno, and Honorable Kitayama, and Honorable Robi, to come together and be in the forefront, because part of the problems we have in that particular corner is political incitement, because people are not just stealing livestock, they are fighting over land. And that's why we have a problem in Nangata, Paraguay, and other places. We want to see leaders. Part of the success we've had in North Rift is because the leaders reached a stage where they said enough is enough. Yeah. We're not going to defend our community, we're going to fight banditry. So I thought I should give a bit more context in that answer, and agreeing with her, we are going to, there is a promise to work on that issue within the next month or two.
Before we take a break, PS, is there a general cost to all this? What is the cost of dealing with banditry?
Definitely, there's a big cost to it. First of all, working in a multi-agency framework, so you have the KDF coming in to support. You have our intelligence, you have the DCI, you have the police, and you have so many officers in operation area. If you look at even some of the equipment, the vehicles that are being used, there has been a huge investment that this administration has put in to be able to support and facilitate our officers. And then, of course, the engagement with the communities. Away from pacifying these areas, there is also the investment in terms of rebuilding of schools, the infrastructure that the CS has talked about, the roads, supply of water, and also for those who are able to move into other forms of entrepreneurship, whether it is agriculture, so that then we don't limit people to just keeping livestock, but also taking kids back to school. You'll be surprised that most of these bandits are pretty young boys who have stopped going to school. Now, when the schools are open and you're able to get them back to school, it means that you take away the allure for young boys to go out there. But beyond that, it's also to punish and make it very painful for some of these characters. That is why you find now some of these hardcore criminals easily come out, because they know that the noose is tightening around them. And the support from the leadership and the communities, just like the CSR said, has been very instrumental in getting us to where we are. Okay. And when you think about it, even beyond banditry, when you think about it even in terms of terrorism, we are opening up Northeastern, the roads, because for a very long time, parts of this country, people have felt that they do not belong, simply because of skewed development that has happened over the years. This administration has been very bold to open up literally every corner of this country. And just when you think about it from a bottom-up philosophy, the local mwananchi, when you go to markets that for a very long time women could not go to, and now you have stories of women in markets, the fresh produce are able to get into markets because the roads have been opened. Definitely, there's been serious investment, and that is a courtesy of just the stewardship of the president, but also Kenyans contributing, because the bulk of this money belongs to Kenyans themselves.
Okay. All right, let's take one more question before I take a break. We are really pressed for time. Yes, you have the microphone. Go. We are coming to this side. Relax. The entire ministry is here, so relax.
My name is Francisco Miller, Interfaith Youth, and my question revolves around the aspect of mental health and wellness. So my question is, what steps are being taken to address harmful ideologies and practices in the police force, and maybe how the officers are being trained to respond to mental health crisis without resorting to excessive force?
Okay.
Thank you.
Say your name again?
Francisco.
Francisco.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I think that, so that IG can add, I'll just be very brief. There is a shift in the National Police Service from looking at police officers, all cases that they go through, particularly mental health, as disciplinary issues. In the past, if you became addicted to alcohol, you were just dismissed from service. Now that has shifted. You are taken to rehabilitation. there is a big issue insofar as operational procedures, and I think IG can add that there is always a debrief when police officers are sent to serious operational areas. There is a process of debrief. I see also greater investment now on counselors, and I believe in the next recruitment, counselors will be part and parcel of the people being recruited, because even in the Jukwala Usalama there is a demand, not just for the police, there's also demand from GAO officers that we need more counselors stationed at the sub-county level so that they can reach out to many people, because this is an area that people are operating in very difficult circumstances, facing challenges like banditry, terrorism, and so many other things, dealing with murders, counseling, GBVs, and so forth. So mental health is the new shift from National Police Service, from the past where people are just saying this person is like this and he should be dismissed from service or be ignored. In fact, in the meeting that we had with the OCSs, I reminded them that by failing to deal with the officer within your station, to deal with their mental health within your station, you are actually putting your life in danger, because this person has a gun. And if they are not of proper mental stability, they can shoot anybody on sight, including the OCS. And that is the reason, that explains the reason why a number of cases are happening to officers' families, officers within themselves, within the station, and so forth. Okay. And IG maybe can add something.
IG, yes, very briefly.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And I want to also thank my CS for that very, very elaborate information. Let me start by saying that in the National Policing Service, like any other employment, there are hazards, job hazards actually. And in the policing sector, because of the demands of those services, you find that the level of stress is a little bit high. This is something that we have learned with time, as the CS has indicated, because there before, we used to think that this officer is now drinking because he has gone in that direction, and in most cases we could take disciplinary actions which would end up by terminating the services of that very, very officer, as opposed to assisting and supporting him so that he can be able actually to recover. So this time around, you find that now we have got better understanding because we are working together with others. Trevor, I want to say that within the Regional Police Service, each and every service, that is the Kenya Police Service, the Administration Police Service, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, we have directorates that deals with the mental issues. Counseling directorates are there so that all the officers who have got issues, and there are several, they can actually be assisted, because we realize that this is a problem, this is something that can be treated and still get back the officer into active duties. We are also working, Trevor, together with others out there. For example, the Disability Mainstreaming Foundation. We are also working with the African International University so that it can actually be able to assist us in many supportive roles. Yes.
All right, I'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll pose the questions. We'll take the questions from the audience still. I know there's quite a number on this side, so we'll pass the microphone this other side, and then the members of the Border Society also here with us will give you a chance to ask the questions as well right after this break. The entire Straight to the question.
Yeah, my name is Omwansa, son of Omwansa. I'm a student at MKU Law School, a student leader for all universities in Kenya. My concern here tonight is our comrades are suffering. Comrades zetu wanauliwa sana. If kama wakili mzima anaweza pigwa risasi akiwa kwa gari yake, how about comrade mwenye ana kitu, mwenye anatembea tu na bag ama kitabu yenye ametoka nao shule? Just to give you an example, watu wamemiu, like I've said, Bangladesh pale kwa hizo slums hapo, we don't have lights there, but we have been meeting student leaders, we've been meeting OCSs. I don't know what they report to you when people are being killed hapo. Ukiangalia hapa Tuk, nimesema hapa kwa bridge, people are also being killed there. Kwenda nyumbani sasa hivi ukiwa na all body parts ni bahati ya Mungu. Ukiangalia Kenya Mas kwa hiyo bridge hapo, we always have askaris there from 7 p.m. to 8:30. Na naangalianga sana wakifika 8:30 washapotea. Comrades huwezi pita hapo. Yet honestly we work during the day or we go to class, na jioni pia tunataka to extend tufanye mambo mingi. Enda Udhiru, Kabete National Polytechnic. Roundabout ya Udhiru hapo. Kijana wetu amenyanganywa mkono pale. Sasa yako handicap maze. It's not really fair. So we're requesting the government, as you meet student leaders, as you meet the OCSs, me I'm requesting, please weka lights pale. Weka askari hapo pia. They are trying at Kenya Mas. Enda KU, Kenya Market KM huko. Comrades cannot pass, na huko ndio wanatoka hostel penye wanakaa wanakuja shule. We are really suffering, bwana CS. If you help us at that, sisi tunashukuru na tunasema we will be able to support you as you had said. Thank you so much.
IG, respond to that before we bring in CS. On the issue of patrols and police. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Trevor. And I also want to appreciate that question because number one, it's very, very important. And number two, I also want to appreciate the Citizen TV for having invited us here so that we can also be able to meet and partner together with the community and the security providers so that we can be able to get it straight from the people. And I'm saying that personally I'm very happy from what I have heard that there are certain areas at certain times there are no police officers. Yeah, so these are some of the areas that we can be able to ensure that we revisit, we look at the strategies that we have put actually in place so that we ensure that we provide safety and security to all and sundry, including the students who are carrying on with their studies, whether at Tuk, whether at some other places. I want to assure you that all these informations, they are important to us actually as a leadership of the National Police Service, and we are going to deal and ensure that you are satisfied and you can actually be able to attend to your duties as required.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Waziri?
From a policy perspective, first of all, we will have Jukwaa la Usalama for Nairobi, which is the penultimate, the last one, next week Friday. And we'll make sure that we invite all the student leaders from the various universities in the Nairobi metropolitan area. But if you had my earlier answer, from our security engagement across the country, it's becoming very clear that there must be proper security or officers that are attached to institutions of higher learning, including colleges. And it is important that we have greater synergy between the National Police Service and the security managers in the university, and also involving the students. This conversation we're having with you here should not have waited until we're here. It is possible to get the student leaders to be part of the sub-county security team. And the IG has been trying to increase the number of sub-counties where we have OCPDs within Nairobi so that it can cover this issue. With this level of involvement, it should be able to get us solve this problem at a local level. And lastly, is that in terms of strength, the reason why we are going for police recruitment soon, or about 10,000 police officers, is also to increase the number so that this issue of patrol is taken care of. It's also important that the Nairobi County government and the national government pick up the issues of light all over. But more importantly, we need to bolster this issue of security, the CCTVs in the city. The moment all these criminals realize that they are being watched, it will be very easy to deal with this issue. I believe it's something that can be resolved, and those are some of the policy discussions or the thoughts. I used to be a student leader, and in my days when I was in Parklands campus of the University of Nairobi at that time, because there were very few law schools, we would walk from main campus to Parklands, and there was no issue. You'd walk even midnight, late night, and so forth. But because of the numbers, the many things that have happened in the city, it's important to restore that level of security for students to not to be confined. If you are an architecture student, for example, using again University of Nairobi, you will spend a lot of time in ADD for almost the whole night. By the time you are going to your hostel, it's about 3 or 4 in the morning. So it's important to make sure that the city is safe for any citizen to walk anytime at night, and we'll work on that.
All right, let's talk about the border sector as a national security issue. And the chairman is here. Kindly pass the microphone to the border team so that we also hear. Pass the microphone to the chairman, and then I'll give you the microphone. Okay. Let's have this microphone to the border chair, then it will come back to you. All right. Kindly pass the microphone to the chairman of the border to talk about this issue of the border as a national security issue and the reforms that were brought in place. Yes, start with your name, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Ken Onyango, the national chairman for Central Organization of Border Riders. Trevor, one thing ambayo nataka kusema, which is very, very important, the CS has gone around the country, and the good thing, it happened in Bungoma. The CS was, you saw it on the podium, the fragmented leadership that has affected the border sector. And the Ministry of Interior actually plays a very important role. When the CS was the Minister for Transport, he actually gazetted the County Transport and Safety Committee in all the 47 counties, which I sit in one of the board of the County Transport and Safety Committee, to address some of the challenges that you have seen. Recently, you've seen border has actually accused that they are banning vehicles just in case of an accident when it happens. One thing that I want to put across maybe in this meeting, because border is a very important component in our ecosystem in this country. But the most important thing is organizing border in circles. Because let me tell you, when borders are organized within circles, 100 or 200 borders within circles, they are able to self-regulate themselves and understand that this one operates from this stage, going like this and the other way. Compared to the way maybe the way the government maybe have tackled the border issue.
So Ken, do you welcome the reforms that the government is proposing for the border sector?
We welcome it.
Registration, uniforms, all of you to have good conduct and to tell the people where you're operating from.
If you go to Nairobi CBD today, and through the help of Governor Sakaja, Nairobi CBD today, border have already organized themselves into what the government is proposing. Already. But the problem is, you find that there are some quarters. There are some quarters that are still pushing border to operate the way they used to operate before. So we need the goodwill from the Ministry of Interior and sana this ministry, and the reason why we came in our numbers, the border in Murkomen, we came in a good number today, because the Citizen TV invited us. We want the CS usukume na ile nguvu ulisukuma kwa Ministry of Transport. All the border riders to organize themselves within circles.
But what good will you require from the ministry if we cannot even get you to wear helmets? Your people do not wear helmets.
You see the issue of helmet, and that's why I was actually directing you, Trevor, for us to go back to the issue of self-regulation, because the police cannot do everything. You cannot tell me today that the police will keep on chasing after border riders. I can tell you, some of the police officers have lost their lives because border, when they find themselves in a situation where they'll be arrested by the police and piki yake in the police station. We were at State House the other day with the PS, and the president directed that all the border riders' bikes that have been impounded and are still at the police station be released. And the IG is there. Some of them have not been released, but I know that it's going to be done. The only thing ninaomba tu ya kwamba the Ministry of Interior itusaidie. Jukwaa la usalama that the CS has been going around the country, fanya jukwaa ya boda. So that usikie the same story that you've had in Bungoma, in Kilifi, and everywhere. In the same sector.
All right, thank you. Yes, thank you, Ken. Let's hear from the IG. Why haven't the border has been released as was directed at State House?
No, okay, thank you very much, Trevor. That directive of the president is actually being implemented fully. Yeah, and I want to assure you that, and I know my good friend there can confirm this, that several of them have actually been released, but there could be others that are having, their cases before courts of law, depending with the offenses that could have been committed. So again, we must also look into that. But those ones with the petty issues, all of them have actually been released.
Why has it been a challenge, IG, to implement discipline? Because now we are talking about having borders regulated, wear uniforms, but they simply cannot even follow traffic rules. How are you intending to carry out the enforcement part of it? It's one thing to talk about the regulation that they need to adhere to. It's another to enforce. How do you intend to do it differently this time?
Thank you, Trevor. Let me say this. I would wish that, number one, we attain a situation whereby that very, very important sector of border, attains the status of self-regulating in a manner that we can be able, and we are working with many others, we can be able to work in a harmonious way, whereby these people, the border sector, can work with the policing service that here we have this challenge. We want you to assist with this. You see, that is what we would like, as opposed to the other way around, of doing things. Yeah. So we want a situation whereby the border sector is self-regulating, and that is the reason why the idea of coming up, everybody registering with the SACCOs so they can be able to self-regulate is very, very important to me as the Inspector General, and actually the National Police Service for that matter. Thank you.
Well, see, what is the best way of dealing with this? Because even when we say that they should be registered and they should wear uniforms, we know that some of them, most of the time, that were used to commit crime, did not even have registration plates.
I think the first thing is first to register all of them in SACCOs. I think first the county's transport committees should function. And there is need for leadership at the county level, because transport is also a shared function, and the part of transport is devolved. County government must take initiative to ensure that the county's transport committees are working. Number two is that once you put them in SACCOs, then they get a license, and they get a license as a SACCO. So it becomes punitive for a member of the SACCO if they commit an offense. That problem can transfer to the SACCO as a whole, because if there will be repeat offenders, then you can be able to withdraw the license. The other issue is to ensure that going forward, we invest in technology so that there is a digital enforcement, where Nairobi, for example, the Minister of Transport was working on ITS, Integrated Transport System, that is going to be used for enforcement of traffic offenses, and it will be nice to infuse in technology. If you are not wearing an helmet, your number plate is captured, you get instant fines. If you are overspeeding, the same. If you are driving in areas that borders are not licensed to operate, you get the punishment management. So if the ITS system works in Nairobi and Mombasa, and it already received funding after the president spoke to the government of China and Korea, I think that this is also one way that future. And finally,
but how will it work in the villages?
Finally, yes, that's where I was coming. Finally, why we need border borders to be in their own circles with their own uniform is because of what we saw in Kisii on 1st of September. And during the Jukwaa Usalama in Kisii, it was really a matter of great concern. What has happened? What happened in Kisii is that you will find the border borders groups are being forced to wear uniform of political player, certain political players. So everybody now is hiring a certain group of border groups, giving them their uniform, putting them on standby for political mobilization, and maintaining them to some of them are committing very serious crimes. They're actually facilitating gangs and goons. In fact, the Kisii story was so sad that there was a corner where people are being tortured. You know, if you don't agree with certain political side, you are picked, you are tortured behind the scenes there, and you know it is generally known. The same issue, we had problems of gangs and border in western and other parts of the country. Let me say, if we leave it to the police, and that is where Kara comes in, if we leave purely to the police cannot manage the sheer number of border borders in the country. Yeah. It will require that we reduce it to a smaller unit, so that even when we're talking about police, maybe sub-county security committee, but county government is there, NTSA is there. This is a multi-billion sector. And again, I repeat, as a former Minister of Transport, the greatest potential that is in this border sector can greatly be harnessed and achieved. If we organize them in circles, we will achieve more in security benefits. And then ensure then that the sub-county security team, the chair of the border group in the sub-county sits in the county security team, so that he's appearing as an ex-officio member together with, as I said, student leaders in the area and so forth. And we will get more intelligence report, we will protect the business, and we will be able to organize this sector away from criminal activities.
Okay, let me hear what Henry has to say from the Kara perspective. Is this where you come in? Because you had mentioned earlier on that there needs to be a balance between community policing and the people as well. What is the best way of dealing with borders? Because they do come from the society.
Perhaps I'll answer that question by giving an example of some of the practices that are taking place across most urban areas. A number of associations have realized that they have to work with border community. So they've integrated them as part of their structure and part of their system. So we find that we have associations that are working very closely with the border operators. They've actually created mechanism of engaging with them, of communicating with them, and also even supporting them in terms of even providing the reflectors and all that. Because we do realize that we need the services for border operators. They are part and parcel of the community. But we also want to make sure that as we relate with them, as we get benefit from their services, we also address the element of insecurity that is a major concern across various neighborhoods. We have had reports, we have had information where border operators within certain neighborhoods are actually becoming sources of insecurity because they drive or they ride into an estate, and some of them carry out surveillance and carry out insecurity activities. So proactive resident associations have gone a step ahead to make sure that they are finding ways of integrating them as part of their community and supporting them so that they can get their services but also address the element of insecurity. But overall, I think there's need to find a national way of making sure that we have regulation of the border. It has happened in other countries. I know maybe we need to see how it's happening, but they certainly need to make sure that we have this sector properly regulated.
PS, from a policy perspective, what is the best way of dealing with this sector?
I think already there are proposals in terms of the self-regulation within the border sector. But as a government, we must work closely with the border sector to have real laws that then the people who operate in that ecosystem own, so that when it comes to implementation, it becomes easy.
as opposed to leaving it, let's say, to Bora Bora on their own, or leave it to us as government to be the ones who are running with the regulations and then trying to enforce. But then there is a lot of scope for use of technology, just like the CS has said. In the more remote areas, it's still possible to utilize or to make use of technology by way of you still have where you can have cameras, but